The next is about spiritual exercises. It is important that a distinction be made between the two approaches because the brain organization in the Eastern or among Eastern people is different from that of Western people.
Filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner.
The Eastern brain, someone who is born naturally into the Eastern geographical location, that brain is adapted for metaphysical thought. Why is it so? The ethers are not so tight to the brain. So, since they are loosely woven, the person can easily go into metaphysical activities. But that is passive and it is receptive to impacts from the spiritual world, but it is passive in terms of materiality. That brain is more suited to metaphysical work because the ethers are loosely connected to the brain. However, the lack of organization causes difficulty for the individual Easterner in coping with and mastering the external or material world because the ethers are loosely connected in terms of the physical brain. The Easterner is not able to instantly manipulate material things as the Westerner will do, but the Easterner is able to use the brain for more metaphysical work. That is how it plays out between the East and the West. On the other hand, the Westerner has a brain organization well suited for work in the objective material world. So whereas the connection is loose in that of the Easterner, it is tight for the Westerner. So the Westerner is more concentrated on material work, unlike the Easterner. Because the ethers are closely interwoven in the Westerner's brain, the Eastern methods of development tend to derange the Westerner's faculties instead of spiritualizing them. Because the brain and the ethers in there are so tight for the Westerner, if the Westerner tries to pursue the Eastern way of spiritualizing the faculties, it will lead to derangement. Bodily positions which cause etheric currents to progress in specific directions may be detrimental to a Westerner. But the most harmful discipline for a Westerner is to undertake breathing exercises. The body of the Westerner has not been prepared for that, unlike the Easterner. So if you are a Westerner and you are going into breathing exercises, you need to be extra careful. If you are a Christian and you want to go into breathing exercises, you need to be extra careful. Breathing exercises can cause severe reactions from exposure to even infectious diseases in some people, to even insanity and death in others. In other cases, people die out of it. Attempts to raise the spiritual spinal fire. Of course, we have the spiritual impulse through our spine. So attempts to raise the spiritual spinal fire and open the sense centers, or what is called chakras, they are difficult for the Westerner. It's not easy for the Westerner to accomplish and will have severe deleterious results. If you are a Westerner and you want to force yourself to open the sense centers, be mindful that you will cause harm to yourself. So, should those things be accomplished without adequate development of the spiritual bodies first, you will be in trouble. It means you need to develop the spiritual bodies first before you try such exercises. The safest spiritual exercises for Westerners are those given by the Western wisdom teachers relative to the Christian religion: retrospection, concentration, observation, discrimination, meditation, contemplation, and adoration. Those 7 exercises are not harmful. You don't expose yourself to any external threat. How about the posture between the Easterner and the Westerner? Eastern attitude promotes an attitude that is passive You see, the posture that you take in terms of your spiritual exercises, if you're a Westerner and you want to practice that of the Easterner, that of the Easterner is passive and taking in, you are receiving from outside. While the Western attitude is that of being active and giving out. So you are not receiving as the posture of the Easterner will do, but as a Westerner, you are giving out. You are not passive as a Westerner. You are active in terms of your posture, and we will look at it. The Eastern practice reinforces negative receptive pole of the vital body. That is what happens. If you adopt the Eastern posture, you reinforce the negative receptive pole of the vital body, focusing on the lower ethers. While the Western methods work with the positive, voluntary pole of the vital body. So, if you take a posture of the Westerner, you will not be focusing on the lower ethers, but on the higher ethers. We'll see very soon. Eastern meditation in lotus position, sitting on the ground, connects the spiritual center at the base of the spine to the denser lower planetary ethers, which keep people rooted in material energy. So when you are sitting on the ground with your spine straight like that, you are actually in the lower planetary ethers, not the higher ones. We are not saying that it is bad. It depends on who is doing what. All that we are saying is that if you are a Westerner, if you belong to the Christian religion, in the true sense, that exercise is not the one that you should be pursuing. That's all that we are saying. But it's good for some other people. With feet separated and opened hands facing up, you make yourself passive because you are receiving from above. During even meditation, when you open your arms like that, and with also your feet separated, it leaves your etheric body, it leaves your vital body, the circuit that is flowing through them, open to outside and friendly invisible forces. That is what you do, because you open yourself up. You don't close yourself. Sitting in meditation on the floor, in a lotus position, with feet and hands open, and adopting a receptive position is not the way for the Westerner. But it's fine with the Easterner. This passive Eastern method is not in line with the voluntary training and positive application of the Western wisdom teachings. Western wisdom teaching does not encourage passive postures in terms of spiritual exercises. The Westerner, the true Christian, should sit on a chair, not on the floor, not on the ground. The Westerner should sit on a chair, on a sofa, or whatever. That should be about 80 inches above the ground. Don't sit on the ground if you are a Westerner. During church services, spiritual practice, or other activities, never sit on the ground. With the bottom of the spine standing and connecting with the higher planetary ethers flowing through it. So when you are sitting on a chair, a sofa, or whatever, you are above the ground like 18 inches. You connect with the higher planetary ethers. But when you are sitting on the ground, on the floor, you are connecting with the lower planetary ethers. We are not saying that it is bad, but you must know who you are and what you are doing. The informed Westerners sit with their feet together. Your 2 feet should be together. They should touch one another on the floor. And the hands should not be opened, it should be joined, so as to close the internal etheric circuit. That is how it is. Once your 2 feet are together and your hands are also closed, you have closed the etheric body circuit that is around you, so no outside entity can interfere with whatever you are doing. By such posture, you are not passive, you are active. And if you back it with positive concentration of your mind and in a voluntary attitude of giving out, you are giving out from your heart, you generate positive energies that help the world, not just yourself, but you are generating ideas, you are generating love that goes to supporting and helping the world, not just yourself.